Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Alhamdulillah, I live another day today into 10th of 10th of Rabi'ul Akhir, 1442, 26th of November 2020. Hello, YouTube, and all subscribers of this channel and viewers. Thank you very much. I appreciate your support, especially the YouTube team. And also my conventional routine reminder before watching this video, if you are in a mosque for the Friday prayers and for the khutbah and for religious lessons with scholars and also for other religions, please do not watch this video. I believe you've got to attend something more important and spiritual. Thank you very much. Okay, now this video I'm about to share with you something a little bit special which I missed in the last two videos. I should have included it. This video is about the one of the process in the implementation of environmental management system as per requirement of the ISO 14001 version 2015. So this process, input-output analysis, is just one of the process. And what this process is for is to identify all our relevant, related environmental aspects coming from our processes. In this case, I cite one example, hill cutting, as a process, and we will identify all the environmental aspects, input aspects, and also output aspects. Why is this process important? Because remember, environmental management system is about what? Environmental management system is about managing environmental aspects. That is why we have got to identify all our environmental aspects. And how do we manage our environmental aspects? We manage our environmental aspects as per 14001 version 2015 requirement by fulfilling compliance obligation. Huge, isn't it? And also addressing risk and opportunities related to those aspects and related to our respective processes for those environmental aspects in view of retarding or slowing down or halting or eliminating its respective subsequent and eventual environmental impact that may emerge due to the interactions of those environmental aspects with the environment. I hope you got it. Now, I'm not going to discuss the entire step here for the implementation. What I have before you right now is the chronology, literally, of the implementation of ISO 14001. I will not be interpreting each and every one of these important substance of or core elements or sub-elements of this standard here, because the last time and usually when I do it face to face, this particular slides took me about 1.5 to 2 hours. Okay, now I want to show you when we do input-output analysis, where are we? Let me show you. We are here. We have to identify all our environmental aspects, all right? And on top of that, yes, you have all the rest, from identifying the needs of interested parties, our organization, our scope, and etc. etc. All right. On top of that, how we identify environmental aspects, the methodology, which I think by far is very successful. As I mentioned, it is derived from mechanical engineering, the mass balance. So they adopt the input-output analysis. And we are going to do that. And it's so far, it has been successful. But we got to understand the meaning of input and output with respect to its respective environmental impact by virtue of looking at it by the life cycle perspective. That's what we're going to do. Now, once environmental aspects is identified, we got to evaluate for its significance, because we can't be managing all aspects. If we could, it is very good. But somehow, if you go through the standards, we have to ensure compliance, obligation, fulfill. Remember, that is why we got to evaluate all our aspects, and one of the evaluation criteria is legal, as I will show you later. All right, and I hope you still remember the dashboard. Yeah, I still have it in this video. Now, on top of that, once we have identified all our environmental aspects from all the processes of our organization, of our system, whatever have we. Once we have identified all the environmental aspects and their respective probable environmental impact, we got to evaluate them. There you are. And then we have to identify. Remember, the standard says address risk and opportunity. So in our column, you need to have risk and opportunity. Currently, what I do, because the PowerPoint is quite limited, I try to do something better. I will try to rework again some of these what you call environmental aspect register table that I have been displaying to include environmental performance. So I have everything in front of me as a dashboard. All right. So we have to identify all the risks and opportunities related to those environmental aspects and its activity that generate them or involves them as input or generate them as output. Then we come up with this. So this is our ultimate product. You see, this is our ultimate product, and this product is good if we have done good enough work here. Good enough work there, meaning our identification is correct, and most importantly, this one, our evaluation. All right, how good is our evaluation? You remember the impacts rating criteria? Are we going to use generic type? I developed environmental aspects impact evaluation criteria based on the reality of environmental management in practice. It is not wrong if you want to use generic type of environmental aspects impact evaluation criteria, especially those which is used in health safety. Nothing wrong with that. It is good, except that please remember, health safety, the scope is very well specific and defined. Okay? Nonetheless, environment involves the entire geosphere, if I may say that, environmental resources, and most of which we cannot control. All right, so but we can prevent the occurrence of those respective environmental impact. And when we have a very defined evaluation criteria, we will be able to address the management of environmental aspects in a more precise manner, and usually, from my experience, we don't go wrong. Remember, look at this. What do I understand by this? And this is what we have got to arrive to. What is the outcome of our environmental management system? And it has to include, according to ISO 14001, it has got to include, this is talking about performance. That is why I have environmental performance evaluation in my dashboard. Fulfill compliance obligation, also in the dashboard, legal, clients, etc. And important thing, achieve environmental objective. So it is set over there. Okay, from the policy we set our objective, and from objective we set what we have to do, what we must do in order to achieve those objectives. Okay, all right, let us take a look at this activity again. I believe you have seen this before. You have seen this when I was addressing safety, health, environment, how safety, health, and environment manage hill cutting. Oh, oh, oh. Sorry, I have to attend to my cat for a while while doing this recording. Okay, let's get back to this. Okay, construction manager, project manager, especially SHO in the construction industry, industrial hygienist, HSE personnel. You know better than I do in all this. Now, this is a sample what I have displayed before, and remember, when we are identifying environmental aspects from any of our activity, please do not forget to split them first into input aspect and output aspect. Why? Because we need to identify the relative, the immediate environmental impact for that particular environmental aspect. If an aspect is an input aspect, we got to know where it comes from. How does it interact with the environment as it comes from its origin? Therefore, we got to look at the upstream of its life cycle perspective. There you are. All right. And if an environmental aspect is an output aspect, we got to know what happened to it next. What happened to it? How would it interact with the environment in the subsequent event of its life cycle? So we got to look downstream from its life cycle. Now, just a sample. I'm not the expert, but these are a few of the environmental aspects that I could gather from my own notes. So this is an activity with excavator. All right, hill cutting. This is on top of the hill. It is actually, of course, relocating the top of the hill elsewhere because they got to do land clearing. Never mind that. This is for the construction of some infrastructure. Now, the input aspect of this activity, please remember, the hill itself. It is literally coming into the process. Then the process is hill cutting. And the hill is environmental impact. The hill, where does it come from? Where does it come from? It is a natural resource in a state of equilibrium, ecological equilibrium. Then comes this activity, we cut the hill. What's the environmental aspect? The hill itself, or boulders, I would say, or hilltops, I would say. You can use that, use your own words, but the environmental impact, it is interacting with the environment in terms of reducing its integrity, reducing its identity as a hill until there is no longer a hill. And what have we as an environmental impact is lost arable land, or lost natural civil structure, lost what they call it, natural piling work. The hill is a pile for the stability of the mesosphere of the Earth's surface. Okay, what else have we got from that particular hill cutting? Loose rocks. Even this is a mixture of limestone. Most of it is limestone. We get rocks as well. And what happened when they cut all this rock is being dislodged from its system, its place of birth, literally. And some of this rock is in certain pattern. And here we saw that some of the rock is in a vertical, I think geologists know the term, is in a vertical profile, that when the rock is being excavated out, what we saw are actually cracks, and when we call it, this activity would cause some form of geological fault as an environmental impact. Of course, we lose resources, but the environmental suffer due to broken structures, fractures, and faults, and that is a dangerous environmental impact. And there are some loose soil fragments whereby come heavy rain, monsoon rain here in this country. What have we got? One after another incidents of mudslides, mud flood, and places who are not flooded gets flooded on top of us being being the recipient of the global environmental impact, acute global weather conditions, global climate change, and all this, and the soil does, it flows out in the rain, and causes sedimentation, with the surface runoff causes sedimentation. It escaped retention pond in many cases. I've seen all this. Huge retention pond. But the rain today is not like 30 years ago. Today's rain is like a short bath, 1 to 3 hours. It's like the entire haven is pouring water on us, and you get flash flood. Isn't there any drainage system? Yes. Is it being calculated? Yes. But the pour is somehow, the load is multiple what has been designed when it was designed, say 20 years ago, 15 years ago. So these are beyond our control. So other environmental aspects like diesel, it comes from fossil fuel, causing resource depletion. You know this, all right? And diesel smoke from this excavator gets into the air and causes air pollution. And we also have the excavator as an input. Yes, the excavator is an environmental aspect, and the construction, the manufacture of that excavator has made use of natural resources, namely metal, and that has caused resource depletion. And there are many output aspects from the excavator. It could be their track, it could be their track chute, etc., including this one, broken winch. But from my audit, what I saw is this broken winch is reworked. I am so happy, and they just changed one or two small parts of the winch. I think it was a shaft. What bearing? Engineers, you know better than I do. And that winch comes back to work the day after. So, which for me, this is what we're supposed to do. And I think construction company is doing it very good, fabulous. So whatever we could try, we try to do our best. And unfortunately, for construction, also, end of the day, it's all about project schedule. Why? I think you know better. We we have got to meet project schedule. If we are behind time, we might be penalized. I think you know that. Input aspects other than those are tools that is being used, and tools are all from natural resources. This is the environmental impact associated to tools. So all these are input aspects. I don't use fresh diesel, new excavator, no, just that word. The item itself, the whole thing, the entire tools, that is input. But if it is an output, I used this term, damaged tools or broken tools or lost tools. That would be reused, and that tools, damaged tools, will also be reworked, and that would help conserve resources, which is a good thing. Okay, so this is the input output analysis format that I hope you have, and this will make us see what are really our environmental aspects. And we now know these are all the environmental aspects that we got to manage, if we are going for environmental management system as per ISO 14001 version 2015. So how to manage them, we got to think. Is our existing procedure adequate, or we missed out certain things, some details that would manage these environmental aspects? If it is not there, now it's time to insert in the procedure. That is how we manage environmental aspect. And eventually we will find that managing these environmental aspects is actually managing the activity itself. How to cut the hill without causing rapid loss arable land, for instance. How to cut the rock without causing irreversible geological faults, because some of the faults is deeper than the site of construction. That's what I saw. So how to do it? There is a way. Engineers, you're well trained. You are well trained thinker. You are well trained problem solver. Those are engineers. They are trained to think how to construct, and in this case, learn to think how to prevent the formation of geological faults when we do construction. You studied geology a few semesters, you know better than I do. So I'm just an environmental trainer, environmental consultant, knowing a bit of everything. Jack of all trades, master of none, and jack of a few trades and master of none. That's me. Okay, so this is what we have to manage in environmental management system. Okay, and therefore I'll show you. This is the environmental aspects impact register. Now it is tedious. One time when we first start, it was tedious. So we manage everything in Excel, and we have got all this data. We have got these formats. We begin with, as I said earlier, activity, so that we don't go wrong. So that when we know the activity, we are able to manage the environmental aspect by controlling. This is called operational control, those respective activities. And we control this activity by virtue of preventing this environmental aspect. Well, preventing or reducing the probability of hopefully eliminating the possibility of the occurrence of environmental impact due to those release or input of environmental aspects in our process. That is environmental management system. But we have compliance obligation, haven't we? So we got to evaluate our environmental aspect by virtue of its significance. A company may have a few thousand environmental aspects that they have to manage. Major, I'm not talking about small, little environmental aspect, major. That is why we use all these criteria, like magnitude, severity, legal, and business, and you may add some of the things, client, okay, the situation that this environmental aspect is generated. I think you know about normal, abnormal, and emergency, the frequency, the duration, and eventually the score. From the score, we will determine ourselves which level of score is significant, which is less. And we have the luxury to choose which environmental aspect that we could afford to manage for the first year cycle or that particular year cycle of our environmental management system. Nonetheless, we got to make sure it's all documented or reflected in our environmental objectives. Okay, and this is how we calculate the so-called significance score. Now, these are all the environmental aspects that, well, not all. We just pick a few from the hill cutting process. Loose rocks, remember? It causes environmental impact called geological faults. There you are, it's all there. And yeah, of course, we got to evaluate them. You can forget about all these figures. These are all from previous work. So in the end, assuming we got all this, and we got to look at, remember, so basically from my record, according to this particular company, is saying that this is an idle resource. That would be risk. The resource is idling, and actually it is more into safety and health. Somehow we translate it into environmental interest. Idling resource. Okay, fine. If we say it is danger to worker, that is already covered in health safety. Okay, so you got to have some experience to do this. So what would be the opportunity is to desize these boulders into smaller mass so that it can be used in the construction. Very good. So the boulders are not displaced by the heavy rain, and it becomes rocks, and the rocks are all kept aside. They have to manage its inventory somehow, and it will be used in the construction. And also, what else? Loose soil fragments causing mudslides. All right. Okay. It could harm marine. Oh, this is a construction, I think, in the coastal line. This loose soil fragments is causing sedimentation. You can have an environmental impact like sedimentation over here if you like to, but these are all mudslides that has from past incident record. These mudslides happen, and it was flowing. You know the oval, what do you call it in engineering? Shear strength and shear force. It falls down and onto the coastal line. It's a cliff. It's not a steep cliff, but it is at the coastal line. There's some erosion, and that part there's a mudslide and causes some pollution to the estuarine, and there was aquaculture. So that's how they put it. The risk is aquatic life, and it's not just risk. It already happened for this particular company. I mean, for this particular project. So they got to look for some eco-friendly what do you call options to do this. All right, and Also, there are other environmental aspects like damage tools. They have to do, oh, damage tool is good. This is an output. What happened is that they rework. And when they work, it causes resource conservation as far as environmental management is concerned. However, although it is a good deed, apparently they found that it is undervalued. Somebody is collecting and probably selling it at a higher price in the market. So what they want is to look at market options and to get a better capital return. This is attractive to businesses, don't you think? And there are still all this myth that environmental management system is killing businesses. No, it's how your EMS committee do it. Okay, it's how you do it, how you address the environmental aspects precisely, and look into opportunities for business sustainability. Then you are okay. So I think that's about it for this particular video on hill cutting. I have shared with you remember the process of identification of environmental aspects is input-output analysis, and then we got to determine precisely the respective environmental impact by following the track or the trail of their life cycle, input or output, upstream or downstream. Okay, and then we bring them into our environmental aspects impact register. My fellow consultants and trainers, I hope this is something that you can add on or improve, or if you have a better system, please put some comments in this video. And I believe you're working very hard to ensure that your client is able to do this, because clients, they're busy with their work, and eventually consultants has got to the bulk of the work. Please not do that. I hope your client is having dedicated people for the environmental management system. And for those who are embarking on environmental management system, please listen to your consultant carefully, please listen to your trainer, and please ask questions and make sure you understand what you are supposed to achieve. Remember, intended outcome. How we do it, we got the luxury to do it, and ISO 14001 has got guidance of how we can do it principally. Okay, so thank you very much, YouTube. Thank you very much, subscribers, viewers, and all. And I wish you in bahasa Melayu, semoga dikurniakan keselamatan, kesejahteraan, kebahagiaan, dan kejayaan kehidupan di dunia dan di akhirat. And I wish everybody, wherever you are, whoever you are around the globe, and none of you is in Pluto, I guess. All right, and all the best in this recovery of this pandemic. And I hope this helped you. And please listen to your consultants and trainers. Okay, and until we meet in the next video, I wish everybody Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.